Hey there, welcome to Alive inside the Radiantly Alive Woman. We are here doing a really exciting and maybe a topic you haven't thought about before. I have done a lot of work in this area and I know people have asked questions about it, so let's get clear. Are tattoos scars? When do they challenge our physical well-being as well as our emotional and energetic well-being? And how can we start to work these scars, if they are scars, to really improve our wellness? So this is, like I said, a topic that I actually started out in when I started working with scars, which is nearly a decade ago. I have been a clinical therapist. I've had my own clinic space. I now work exclusively online with women who are typically over the age of 40 who have scars on their body. And the way that I really learned the importance of scars was through tattoos. I used to take, back in, I think it was around 2014, 2013, I was taking a lot of continuing education inside the nervous system and learning about neurology. And one of the topics that kept coming up was was tattoos. Are tattoos scars? Are they contributing to challenges in our nervous system? Are they affecting our physical body, our mind? What's going on with them and how can we start working with them? So this actually was my entrance into scar work, which is now completely transformed away from tattoos. I have learned quite a few things along the way, and I'm going to share all of this with you and hopefully give you a better, fuller perspective around tattoos and how they may be contributing or not to your well-being. So let's just talk about what is really commonly thought about with tattoos and how I kind of see it differently. I know I'm not the only one who sees this. I know there's lots of other people as well who would agree with me. So I'm by no means, pioneer here. I know a lot of other therapists have thought about it. I know there's a lot of other therapists who are really have their eye on tattoos. And I wanted to highlight and point out a few things that are important about tattoos. So first of all, where the tattoo is on your body matters. Whether the tattoo is done with color or black and white seems to matter. And the overall kind of arching thing I want you to just know is that in my experience over the years, I have found that tattoos do not weigh that heavily on your physical health as well as your emotion, your energy. However, there are some things to consider about how they may be impacting. And so there is a huge craze, like I was saying when I first started neurology, saying that tattoos were really messing you up and they were creating all of this neurological dysfunction in your body. And it was, there was only like a few ways to resolve it. And one of them was this method or a few of these different methods. And what I actually have experienced over time is that tattoos are actually pointing out an area where there is already dysfunction or problems or challenge. So the tattoos are not actually making the problem. It's like the person has like unconsciously put like a bullseye, like pay attention to this area because there's something not right here. And so people put tattoos generally on area where there's already problems. It's really common that people put tattoos on places where they have broken bones, where they have poor circulation, where they have old injuries. This is really interesting. If you start asking people, why they put their tattoo there, a lot of the time they don't know. But when you start talking to them from like an assessment, clinical therapist kind of mindset, then things start to kind of come together. So I was just on a podcast with a friend, and we were joking about this, that his whole arm is a problem. Like there's a lot of dysfunction there. There's a lot of old injuries. There's a lot of challenge there. And his whole arm is tattooed. And it wasn't the tattoo that created the problem. It was already there. And he just pulled a bullseye or like, pay attention to this kind of flashing light, as I like to call it, on the area that needed attention. So this is a really important thing to just remark, to notice where you have your tattoos, where did you put tattoos on your body, and think about the past injuries there. On ankles, did you sprain your ankle really badly on that side? On hips, sorry, not a hip, this is your ribs. On your ribs, did you break or damage or crack a rib on that side? All of these things you want to just kind of unfold, and you'll only know the real full answer for yourself. I can't tell you yes or no. You have to go back into your own timeline, your own set of circumstances, and what's gone on in your life to really make sense of that and see if that is true. But I would say about 80% of the time, it is true to some extent. It's very common, and I find it, once we talk about it with a client, it's a little bit funny because they don't recognize it's usually an unconscious action that they put a bullseye right where they have problems. And once we kind of make sense of that together, it's a little bit of a joke. It's kind of a little funny aha. So that I want to just clear up right away. Out of the decade of work that I have done, it's usually not the tattoo that is challenging. Something to also kind of like rest your mind upon is there's, for example, very adept martial artists, thinking about people in Japan or other parts of Asia that are absolutely covered in tattoos. And they are some of the people who move the greatest and have this very powerful energy presence and are really good movers, really good grasp of their mind and of their energy, and very much in control of their situation, and they're just covered in tattoos. So don't think that there's a correlation. If you have a tattoo, you're going to be all screwed up. That is definitely not the case. Try not to get too wrapped up into that if someone tells you that that is true. It's, again, probably just that you have a problem underlying there already. So the good news about that is, like, once you know what the problem is, you can start to work it. Lots of people put tattoos where they have old broken bones. Very common. The thing with that is, once we break a bone, what we do is we put a cast on it. The cast comes off, and then we have this idea in our mind that everything's fine and good to go. But from a clinical perspective, you want to make sure that that area that was like not doing anything for a while gets reintegrated back with the limb. So there should be some sort of like quite in-depth therapy that helps to let your body know that this arm is like a full arm and it's functional, and you can start, getting integrative, advanced kind of functional movements back into this limb, which usually doesn't happen. We get the cast off and then we're okay. So that's something that's really common. Sometimes a bullseye goes on there. It's really common for bone breaks. Other things is where people have a lot of chronic pain, like vulnerability in the back or spine when there's a lot of tension, a lot of knotting, a lot of tightness, lack of flexibility. Very common for people to put a tattoo right on top of it. So I'm thinking about low back. I'm also thinking about like size of the hips, all of these kind of more common places that people are getting them right now. It's also that like scar tattoos rather, there's kind of a trend of where they get put on the body. So pay attention to all that in yourself, and just note that and see how that works for you. All right, so let's go into the 3 parts of this video that are always here. Let's talk about the things that you could be feeling if you have a tattoo physically in your body, okay? We're talking about like tattoos could be anywhere. They could be on your face, it could be on your feet, on your hands. So I'm going to give you just a really general kind of overview on how you can start thinking about your physical health. And if some of these things are like resonating with you, you want to start thinking about ways that you can start working the tattoo to address this. Physical first, then we always go energy and the emotion second. That part is really important, just as important as the physical to pay attention to. So we'll think about some of the circumstances around your energy and your emotion that you may be feeling right now that you may not recognize as related to your tattoo. So we'll trace that back and see how that makes sense for you and give you, again, an action plan to move forward with, which is going to be the 3rd part of this video. Always in this video, I do the what to do. What to do with every single scar in general, and then what to do with tattoos specifically, okay? So let's talk about the physical considerations first. What I want to say, most importantly, wherever you have a tattoo, you may have fluid problems local. You also may have fluid problems systemically. So what does that mean? When I say fluid systems, I'm talking about the lymphatic system, also called the immune system, as well as the circulatory system, artery and vein. I lump them together because they're both like pushing fluids. And when we're thinking about scars or tattoos will start to kind of bury themselves deep. Not really tattoos because they're not like a major like incision from a surgery or an accident, but nonetheless there is a burying effect, and it can really impede and obstruct the way that these vessels are allowing fluid to move in and out of them. So you want your vessels to be open like this. If you have a scar somewhere, tattoos included, they may be like impeded. They may be like squished or folded. And when they are not open like this, it creates obstruction, it creates pressure, it creates a bit of resistance. You may have really poor or not so good venous return. Maybe you have like varicose veins. Maybe you have trouble with your temperature regulation in your hands and feet. These are really common things, as well as like swelling, inflammation, fluid retention, distension. And I'm not just talking like local to where the tattoo is. I'm talking about it could be anywhere on your body. It could be in your abdomen and gut. It could be in your face and head, like puffiness, swelling, congestion, like pressure in your face. It could be something going on here. It could be in your feet. Just a challenge. Like once one area of the fluid system is, restricted or impeded in some way, it affects the whole of it, because the whole thing, in a really simple way, it's kind of like a bunch of piping that is, if one part is damaged, then everything else has to kind of work around that. And that can create obstruction and all these other things I just named over time. Okay, so that is just a general thing. Think about it local, think about it systemic. And then the location of where your scar tattoo completely matters. So in these videos, you'll probably have heard me say plenty of time that if you have a scar or a tattoo anywhere between your head to your pelvic floor, it immediately becomes a lot more important. It becomes potentially much more important or like challenging your body and mind. If you have scarring or tattoo on your limbs, your arms, or your legs, it's a little bit less likely that it's going to be impeding or impacting large systems. The reason for that is like when you got something going on your torso, this is where all your vital organs are. This is where your breathing is, your digestion is. This is where like the house of your nervous system is. And when it's occluded or challenged or restricted, kind of local, like right there, it throws everything else off. If you have a stomach problem, you have a digestion problem. If you have like a problem like here on your neck, like maybe you have like let's just say you have a thyroid scar here, it's not just impacting the neck locally, it's impacting how you eat, your acid reflux, it's impacting your breathing. So there's this huge knock-on effect when there's stuff going on in the torso. So the tattoos would be similar. Like I said, tattoos are not bearing down and looking and anchoring onto bone like other scars are. Scars that are from surgery, scars that are from accidents, scars that are like punctures or taking up a lot of real estate on your body will always be anchoring and latching onto solid, stable, reliable things in your body, which is bone. But tattoos are not doing that. However, they'll be just like pressing into and maybe challenging the way that the musculoskeletal system is working, definitely the way the fluids are working. So if it's challenging the musculoskeletal system, what is that? It's like how we move our body. It's our bones, it's our muscle, ligament, tendon, fascia, joint capsule, connective tissue, all of that. And the biggest thing is just the knock-on effect. If we have a tattoo on our elbow, I'm just throwing out the elbow because it's right here. It's going to really hurt on the elbow. I don't know lots of people who have elbow tattoos, but you want to think about the joints below and above, because there is this interconnected relationship. So something that's really useful that I suggest all the time to people who are watching these videos is to get a visual about what I'm talking about with the physical body. So Google Thomas Myers, anatomy trains, fascial lines. Go to Google Images, look at all those like really, really lovely diagrams that are anatomical diagrams of these big fascial connections in the body. So you can start to see like if you have a thigh tattoo, it could be challenging the abdominal area, abdomen, the chest, up into the neck, all the way down into the tops of the feet. Okay, so you want to think about that. And it just helps build the connecting of the dots for you. So if you have all of these like little micro problems going on in your body and you're like, I don't even know where to start, and maybe I just won't start at all because there's so much stuff going on. If you can start to see that there's this kind of correlation between a lot of your pain spots and where your tattoo is, you want to know that. You want to pay attention to that. Something that's really common, just as an example, is if you have a tattoo on your low back. That's a very important area that's directly related to the superficial back line on Thomas Myers. If you have something going on in your low back, whether it's a tattoo or a scar, you may have chronic neck pain. You may have tension headaches. You may have strained hamstrings. You could probably have a digestive problem. You may have plantar fasciitis, Achilles problems, pain with walking, pain with your feet, toes, knee pain. All of this stuff starts to just like expand out and get really big and full picture. So because we're talking about tattoos where you could literally have them anywhere, think about how this makes sense in your own body and just be curious, because as soon as you have these connecting of the dots and you start getting information and you start getting answers to all your well-being struggles, then you all are already forming a path towards change and resolution. So let's just talk about the energy and the emotion. So this is the second part of these videos. This is equally important. It's potentially a little bit more abstract because the physical body is like right here in front of you. It's really easy to understand. You can look down and move it and flex it and do all this stuff. And usually we do a lot more Googling and kind of curiosity around our own bodies. We work our bodies by moving it with exercise. But as soon as we start dipping into energy and emotion, it's like, I don't know where to begin and I don't know how to like make sense of this and how do I start? So in this next section, I'm going to give you a 3-part roadmap on how to actually start making sense of this. But the main thing I want you to think about with tattoos and related to this area is the reason for which you got the tattoo. We have a tendency to mark stages of our life or celebrations or moments in time with tattoos, which is completely okay. There's like no judgment there at all. But you want to just make sure that the tattoo itself is not kind of locked into something like overly emotional. Because, well, it's not necessarily it's a bad thing, but you want to know that when you start working the tattoo, that all of the emotion that's stuck and lodged in that tattoo, that event of getting the tattoo itself, once you start working the tattoo, it's going to start coming out. It's going to start being opened up so that you can work on the emotion and the energy that's like jammed in there so that you can really resolve and transform it. Holding energy in like this as like a tension, like a squeeze, is so tiring on your body. And it's very common that we have many areas that we hold under tension. We hold our emotions under tension. We have tight muscles in our body, maybe just because of a past injury, but maybe because of an emotion. Tattoos can hold all of this in, like any kind of scarring, abdominal, like C-section. I was just talking to someone with a C-section, hold all that emotion inside the scar. That's super depleting. It's so draining. It's really tiring to hold all of that on lockdown. So as you start to work these types of things, whether it's a scar or a tattoo, that gets released in a positive way. You have the opportunity to not hold all that tension anymore, make you a more efficient, better running human being. And that's much more integrated, where you're not keeping stuff stuck inside your body. That's not good. Any kind of stuckness, any kind of stagnation, stuff that's not moving, stuff that's not clearing, that builds up over time. It can manifest as physical things over time. It can just feel really horrible to hold these things in over time. All of this kind of knock-on effect of stuckness and stagnation. The way I used to explain stuckness and stagnation is if you take like a loaf of bread, you put it in the bag and then you leave it there and you watch like this mold kind of build up and eventually overcome the loaf of bread. Now, it's not to say that you're going to get moldy inside your body, but I want you to think about that. If you don't ever move it, if there's no resolution, it just creates more and more stuckness, and that breeds challenge in the body and the mind over time. So that is the main thing I want you to think about emotionally and energetically. Now in this what to do with the tattoo, I'm going to give you the 3-part practice that I give for every single scar. This is a really useful tool for you to start to make sense and maybe just recognize, like, is my tattoo impacting me or not? Like I said, it's probably unlikely that it's weighing really heavily, but maybe it is. Like the examples that we just gave for like reasons at which people get tattoos. There could be like a lot of emotional charge around that, and you may be getting the tattoo somewhere on your body that may be challenging for your body systems to be functioning correctly. So the three-part practice has a relaxing into phase to start off, which has 4 steps. So the first step is to find somewhere in your house that you're comfortable to spend a bit of time exploring this for about 5, 10, 15 minutes. Then you're going to put yourself in a position that is comfortable, seated, laying, however you'd like to be, so that you can make skin-to-skin contact, hand touching the scar. So wherever your tattoo is or your scar, you want to make sure you're in a position where you can actually touch it. Now this third part here, the touching of the tattoo or scar, is really important because I want you to touch your body in a way that is quite meaningful. It's not just like I'm touching my skin in the same way that I put lotion on or put clothes on my body. I want you to say something to yourself either out loud or internally that has the kind of quality of, I'm about to explore an area of my body that I may or may not have recognized as being impactful. I'm choosing to go in and like curiously explore this area so that I can start working on things that may be challenging for me. That brings a whole different energy to the practice. It's so much more than just touching your body, and it makes a really significant impact. Then the fourth thing that I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes so that you can really ramp up that sense of touch. That's a very important sense. Tone down the sense of sight or vision so that you get yourself all comfy and ready to roll. Second part is you're going to gather as much physical consideration as you can. So with a tattoo, it depends on how large your tattoo is, you're exploring the physicality of the tattoo. So depending on where you got your tattoo, it may have been really painful. It may have been kind of just okay. So what you can feel for is places of aversion, places where it feels numb, places where there's hypersensitivity. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel icky, sick, nauseous, uncomfortable? These are all really common things when you start touching your scar. You also absolutely want to feel for any like tension-based stuff. So when you just like gently move your skin around, not the muscle, just like the tissue, like the tattoo itself, just around, is there areas where it's stuck, where it's pulling, where it's grabbing, where it doesn't move as nicely? Just paying attention to all of that, because it's going to be something really important to gather, because when you start working your tattoo or working any other scar in your body, it's going to start moving. It's going to start changing. That's kind of the whole point. So those are the physical considerations that you're going to gather, and then you're going to go into the emotion and the energy. Now, the emotion and the energy has this 3-part roadmap that I want you to explore, as well as thinking about the reason for which you chose to get the tattoo. So what's this 3-part roadmap? You're going to think about the energy and the emotion in these 3 different sections. The first one is before the tattoo. The second one is during the tattoo experience itself, and then after. So you want to feel into, like in the before, really like the quality of your thoughts, how you were living, any kind of stress and strain, the reason at which you were wanting the tattoo, like feelings of lack, feelings of wanting this, missing out on that, whatever it was. What was really like the energetic signature, as well as the inner dialogue of that time in your life, which could be a longer extended period of your life before the tattoo itself. Second part, during the tattoo, what was going on? What was going on in your mind? Was it painful? Were you freaking out? Were you worried? All of this is going to start to like form and get stuck inside the tattoo, like quite literally, physically, but also obviously energetically and emotionally. It's all going to get jammed in. So what was going on there? Fear, worry, pain, all of that is going to be in there. Then after the tattoo, what was, in the exact same way as the before, what was your energetic signature of yourself after the tattoo? This could be kind of a long extended period. Depending on how long your tattoo has been on your body, has it changed in its appearance? Have you changed how you feel about the tattoo? All of that, take it in consideration. Really build that out very clearly in your mind, because all of these things can be resolved through working the tattoo. Okay, now once you have that, you have a really good insight into your transformation potential. How much transformation potential does this tattoo have? Is it a transformation hotspot, which all scars will be when you have them from your head to your pelvic floor, or maybe not so much? Like I was saying, tattoos are not super high as, wreaking havoc on your whole body and mind. It's kind of less likely, but still cool to explore, especially for some of these emotional triggers. Because you could be playing out an emotion and like a reactivity and irritability over and over and over in your life, and the origin is from the tattoo itself. So, what to do with the actual tattoo? After you've gathered information, I want you to just start to gently massage the tissue with some sort of like oil. So an almond oil, a sesame oil, coconut oil if you're in a pinch. If you have a nice Ayurvedic oil or some sort of other kind of body oil. Body oils and face oil seems to be really popular and kind of trendy right now. So I'm sure all women have something like that at home. And you can start, I'm just going to imagine that I have a tattoo on my arm here because it's just easy for you to see. What you're not wanting to do is like poke and prod and feel like you're going to like a deep tissue massage from a massage therapist. We want to actually like open up the vessels that could be pinched or occluded or have a lot of pressure going through them depending on how they're being challenged. We want to open those back up to like full and open. So you're not going to do that by like cramming and jamming your skin around. You're actually going to give yourself a really light massage. You can also think about giving yourself a lymphatic massage if you know what that is. It's a little bit too elaborate for me just detailing this out for you because I kind of got to know where your scar or your tattoo is to really make sense of that. But you can start to do movements that are close, that start from the bottom of your tattoo and move close towards your center, towards your torso or towards your heart. So you're going to just do like brushing movements up towards wherever. Here on my arm, going up towards my shoulder. Okay, you can make circular movements. I'm doing like this. And then you're going to go circular in the other direction. Okay, you can also like go from side to side, like brushing from one side, brushing to the other side. And you can really explore if you felt tension in particular areas, you can work that. But you want to end the like kind of gentle massage towards, again, like that upwards direction towards the heart. Now notice I'm using my whole palm. I'm using my whole palm here. I'm not jabby, pokey, proddy, being invasive or being kind of intense. I'm really just kind of making contact with the skin. I'm doing a very light touch. This is really important that you apply this as a light touch. Don't push hard. Don't push medium hard. Be light. Think like you're opening, creating some space for your lymphatic system to get a little bit of breathing room, for your circulatory system, all the capillaries to get a little bit of space and breathing room. That will be really significant over time. Now, my one little word of caution, if you're watching this video and you want to apply this idea somewhere else that you have a scar, please don't. Please do not take any of this instruction and apply it elsewhere in your body. If you were to do this as a preliminary step on an actual scar, you may actually cause yourself more harm than good. In my system, Scars Reigniting Your Feminine, there's like a decade behind choosing which body practice needs to happen in what order so that you are really working with your body and not against it. So just taking this small area, like tattoos that are probably not super significant, but unsticking it from all the connective tissue and all the like underlying structures that are around it is really important. So you can do this kind of gentle movement for maybe like 2, 3, 4 minutes every day for a period of time, maybe anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks, and just check to see if a lot of these things have been starting to shift. You may notice that while you're doing it, some of these emotions that we spoke about, the reason that kind of emotionality may start coming up and bubbling up, that's a good opportunity for you to take that on to work and transform that. Other things that we spoke about, like the fluid systems and like chronic pain and all of the muscle tension and tightness stuff, also can start to resolve and heal up as well. So I think that that's all I wanted to say today for tattoos. I hope that that was informative. If you have any questions about how to do it, maybe you try it for a little while and you want more information, please just type inside this thread. I'm very active in here and see all of your questions. So thank you for watching. We're going to have more lives this week. I'm actually finishing off the SCAR series this week, and we have a brand new exciting announcement on something new that I'm going to say on Friday, which is the 1st of October, very quickly coming. The October is upon us. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.